When a great Buddhist holy man or lama dies, wise men consult the stars and other omens and set off, often on extraordinarily long journeys, to find the infant who is the reincarnation of the lama. When the child is old enough, he's taken away from his parents and educated in the Buddhist faith. Could this be the origin of the story of the three wise men? Could Jesus have been taken to India as a child and taught as a Buddhist? The Russian writer Nikolai Notovich, traveling in India in the 19th century, discovered an ancient manuscript in a Buddhist monastery in Tibet. In his book, The Unknown Life of Jesus Christ, Notovich translated this manuscript, and it tells of a divine child called Isa, born in the 1st century, to a poor family in Israel. Isa came to India at the age of 14, where he learned the laws of Buddhism before returning to Israel at the age of 29. This idea would certainly explain the otherwise odd fact that from the age of 14 to 29, there's absolutely no record of Jesus' existence in Palestine. Certainly Jesus' later teaching and miracles have uncanny parallels with the teaching and miracles of the Buddha. Loving your enemies and the idea that the meek will inherit the earth have absolutely no tradition in the Jewish religion, but are entirely consistent with Buddhism. And the Buddha was known to walk on water and miraculously to feed many hundreds of his disciples with only a few scraps of food. But if Jesus traveled or returned to the East, surely there would be legends like those in the south of France to support the idea. And of course there are such traditions. The people here in Kashmir call their tribe Ben-e-Israel and claim to be descendants of the lost tribes. And here there are stories that the 1st century preacher Isa, known locally as Yusasaf, meaning leader of the healed, returned to Kashmir in his 30s. Yus Asaf's ministry here can easily be seen as a continuation of the Jesus ministry. And in a local temple called the Temple of Solomon, there used to be an inscription which told of Yus Asaf's claim around the year 50 AD to be Jesus, the prophet from Israel. Kashmiri history books tell us that Yus Asaf came from abroad. He was a prophet and a messenger. He came from Israel. He came to spread his teachings. He lived and died here. He is Jesus. He is Isa. The meaning of Yus Asaf is the healer. Another meaning is the shepherd, one who teaches others. And our history books confirm that Isa was known as Yus Asaf here in Kashmir. Yus Asaf continued to teach and preach in Kashmir until he died around the year 80 AD. He was buried in Srinagar. And this, they say, is Yus Asaf's tomb. The first building erected around this site was built in 112 AD. In fact, it's now a shared gravesite. In the 15th century, the Islamic holy man Syed Nazir ud-Din was also buried here. Although both gravestones under the cloth point north-south in the Islamic tradition, the body of Yus Asaf is buried beneath in a grave dug east-west in the Jewish tradition. Next to the sarcophagus are two carved footprints. The marks on these are said to be the symbolic representations of the scars of crucifixion.
The
footprints were carved as a sign. The scars are clearly visible, received when he was nailed to the cross. They show that this is the same person who came from Israel and that he lived and died here. You won't find any footprints like these anywhere else in Kashmir. We don't have that tradition. The position of the scars, just behind the toes, do not match each other, but they would align if a single nail was driven through both feet, with the left foot placed over the right. There are many who believe this tomb to be the tomb of Jesus. If this is the tomb of Jesus, then he spent most of his life in the mountain kingdom of Kashmir. He did not die on the cross. There was no resurrection. He did not ascend into heaven, and he does not sit at the right hand of God. For many Christians, this would be the end of Christianity as we know it. But for some, the original story would still have a poetic power.
For me, the resurrection is about death. The two things that will happen to us all in our life is that we'll be born and that we'll die. They're the two things we know nothing about. And we have this great void before and we have this great void afterwards. So any system of belief, any religion, any church that set itself up has always had to have some concept, some way of dealing with death. So in Jesus' resurrection at the end of the Easter story is the symbolism of our own resurrection, of our own new life. That in many ways is the great strength of Christianity, and I think to kind of get away from it, to get away from that incredibly powerful symbolism of the resurrection that touches each and every one of us because of the reality of what will happen to us, and start debating whether, bones in a tomb matter or whether it actually happened, completely misses the point of Christianity.
And there will always be those for whom none of the inconsistencies and anomalies in the Gospels mean anything. For them, the story still has the hallmarks of truth, of gospel truth.
I understand that people find it difficult to believe because we know these things don't happen. If you think that you've just seen somebody who was dead now alive again, you say, well, take 2 aspirins and lie down and it'll go away. And the thing was, it didn't go away. And what we have in the Gospels is not stories of people saying, well, of course, here he is, he's alive again. We have stories of people saying, what do you mean? Don't be silly, that can't happen. They knew as well as we do. And yet, right in the heart of it all, they come back and say, it really has happened, it's completely blown us away, it's changed our worldview, and it's gone on changing people's worldviews ever since.